Here's the one thing you need to remember if you don't like to trust the process. So recently I had a son, and right now he's about 3.5 months old, and his name is Champion. And I absolutely love him. He's probably one of the best creations I've had up until this date. And one thing about him that, obviously I have to do a lot is changing his diaper. Some days, I mean, he's peeing on me. Some days he's pooping on me, right? Like if you ever had a son or daughter, you know that having a kid, it can be a lot of work, from cleaning him up to feeding him to watching him to carrying him when he's crying. Like there's a lot that goes into taking care of a baby. Now, one day actually, he was, let's say, like a little constipated. Like he was going a few days without pooping. So me and his mother, me and my wife, we decided to give him, what was it? It was prune juice. We decided to add some prune juice and some apple juice to his feeding. So he did that, and we waited for like a day or two. And one day, my wife was gone, and I was changing him, and he started to like squiggle a little bit, and he made this little face, and he started to curl up into a little ball, and then he took this one big breath, and then he squeezed. And what ended up happening was probably one of the worst moments I had as a father so far. And this kid did a projectile poop everywhere. I mean, absolutely everywhere. And it was so bad to the point where I had to take my hand and cover it, and my whole hand was just covering poop, and it was disgusting. It probably took me maybe like 10, 15 minutes just to clean up, not even including putting on a new diaper and all that stuff. And during that time, he was screaming, he was crying, like it was really, really tough. And afterwards, when I finished, I gave him a big smile. I gave him a big hug and a kiss, and I put him back on my lap, and we just kept going about our day. Now, here's the thing. When he did that, when he pooped all over my hand and all over the floor, the table and everything, man, I was a little annoyed. I got to be honest. I was like, Jesus Christ, like you could just hold this for like 5 more minutes, right? It was everywhere. It was a complete mess. But what I did was I had to go and clean it up, not because I liked it or I wanted to, but I had to. Being a father is a commitment that you have to make. It's a commitment that I've decided to make. And there are days where he poops, he pees, he screams, he cries, he does all of this stuff. And yet I'm still there to support him. The love that I have for him, it doesn't change. It doesn't change at all. So why am I telling you this? What does all this have to do with you and trusting the process? Well, a lot of people, they will say, well, coach, I don't like to trust the process. And that right there is the actual problem. You are telling yourself that you have to like it before you take an action. And that's where a lot of people get stuck with so many different things, whether it's with confidence, happiness, or even trust. They tell themselves, I have to like it first. I have to like the action that I'm doing first before I go and take that action, when it's the opposite way. You have to go and you have to take action in the process until you start to like it. And if you don't like it, there's a good chance that this process that you're on is not something that you actually enjoy, something that you don't value, if you will, right? With me and building this business, this podcast, the work that I do, working with high performers, this is something that I love. And there are some days where it's tough. But because I love what I do, it helps me to get through the tough days, because I know on the back end I will be rewarded. So for you, if you find yourself having a tough time liking the process, I want you to remember that it's not about liking the process, but it's about following through the process and knowing what specific actions you should be taking. So the next time you feel like you're stuck, or you feel like you don't like to trust the process, remind yourself that it's not about liking it, it's about doing it. Because if you have a son, a loved one, whatever it is, there's a good chance there may be times where they annoy you, right? You may have a son, you may have a daughter, or maybe you have had one, or maybe you had a loved one, right? Girlfriend, boyfriend. There are going to be ups and downs, and that's just a part of life. But the ups and downs don't determine whether or not your love for them changes, right? It's when you're able to still show up for them, still be the authentic you, that really shows you that you have integrity. And that's what it comes to when it comes to the process, confidence, having a feeling of self-worth, like all these things. It's about how you treat yourself when things aren't going well, right? Because not every time things are going to be perfect. And that's the unfortunate thing about social media. And I say this a lot. We have been duped. You have been duped into thinking that, hey, everything that we do should be successful at the first time, or everything that we do we should enjoy. But it's those people that are able to do the boring stuff the longest that actually found themselves on the other side of success. And that's actually a great key to how do you become an expert in your field. So I hope this episode helps you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this episode. And I can't wait to see you guys in the next podcast.